Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Sara English. I'm Sarah, and I'm really happy you are here with us today.
And I'm Mike. It's great to have you with us again. Wherever you are, maybe at home, at work, on the bus, or taking a quiet walk, we hope you feel relaxed while listening.
Today, we are talking about something very useful for English learners. We are going to talk about how to answer questions in English with confidence.
Yes, because answering questions can sometimes feel difficult, even when you know enough English to communicate.
You may understand the question, but suddenly your mind becomes empty. You know the words, but you cannot find them quickly.
Or maybe you start thinking too much about grammar. You think, is this sentence correct? And by the time you decide what to say, the conversation has already moved on.
That feeling is very common, but today we want to make answering questions feel easier and more natural.
And remember, you do not need to give perfect answers. Your goal is to communicate your idea clearly.
Exactly. Real conversations are not English exams. People pause, make small mistakes, change their sentences, and sometimes need time to think.
Even native speakers do this. If someone asks you an unexpected question, you might say, let me think.
That is a very useful phrase for English learners. It gives you a few seconds to organize your thoughts.
Another useful expression is, that's a good question. You can say it before giving your answer.
For example, someone asks, "Where would you like to travel in the future?"
You can say, that's a good question. I think I would really like to visit Japan.
Notice that the answer is simple. You do not need a long speech to sound confident.
Yes, a short and clear answer is often better than a complicated answer that makes you nervous.
Okay, Mike, let's practice. I'm going to ask you a simple question. What do you usually do after work?
Let me think. After work, I usually go home, have something to eat, and relax for a while. Sometimes I watch a short video or listen to music.
That sounds very natural. You answered the question and added a few details.
Yes, and I did not use difficult vocabulary. I just talked about something real from my life.
That is an important secret. When you talk about real things you know, answering becomes much easier.
You already know the idea. You only need to find the English words.
Many learners make answering harder because they try to create a perfect sentence.
They may think, I need better grammar, or I need advanced vocabulary.
But you can communicate very well with simple English. You can answer a question, add one detail, and give one reason.
For example, someone asks, what do you like to do in your free time?
You can say, I like going for walks. I usually walk in the evening because it helps me relax.
That is already a complete answer. It has an activity, a little information, and a reason.
Let's try another one. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is pizza. I usually eat it with my family because we all enjoy it.
Simple, clear, and natural.
Now you answer one. What do you like doing on weekends?
I like spending time with my friends. We sometimes go to a cafe, talk about our week, and have something to drink.
That is a great answer because it gives the other person something to talk about.
Exactly. This is another important point. A good answer can help continue the conversation.
If someone asks, do you like your job? And you only say, yes, the conversation may stop.
But if you say, yes, I do. I like my job because my coworkers are friendly. The other person can ask another question.
They might say, how many people work with you?
Then you have another opportunity to speak English.
So when possible, try to add one small detail to your answer.
You do not need 5 sentences. Even one extra sentence can make your answer more interesting.
There is another situation that makes learners nervous. Sometimes you understand the question, but you do not know the answer.
Yes, that happens to everyone. Someone may ask, "What is your favorite movie?" And you may not have one.
In that situation, you can simply say, I'm not sure. I don't really have a favorite movie.
Or you can say, "I haven't really thought about that before."
These expressions are useful because you do not need to invent an answer.
You can also connect your answer to something you do know.
For example, if someone asks about a sport you do not follow, you can say, I don't know much about football, but I enjoy watching big matches with my friends.
That is much better than becoming silent because you think you must know everything.
Confidence does not mean knowing everything. Confidence means staying calm and continuing the conversation.
And sometimes confidence simply means giving yourself permission to pause.
Yes, you can breathe, think for a second, and then answer.
You can even repeat part of the question if you need more time. For example, someone asks, "What would you like to do in the future?"
You can say, what would I like to do in the future? I think I would like to travel more.
That sounds natural because repeating a few words can give your brain extra time.
And if you do not understand the question, do not be afraid to ask for help.
You can say, "Sorry, could you say that again?"
Or, could you repeat the question, please?
If you only missed one word, you can ask, "What does that word mean?"
These phrases are not signs of weak English. They are useful communication skills.
Exactly. Good communication is not about understanding every word perfectly. It's about making sure you understand the message.
So if you need time, pause. If you do not understand, ask. If you make a mistake, continue.
And if you do not know the answer, be honest. A simple answer is completely okay.
The more you practice these small habits, the more comfortable you will feel when someone asks you a question.
And slowly, you may notice that your answers become faster, clearer, and more natural without you forcing them. Now let's talk about something that can make answering questions much easier: having a few simple answer patterns in your mind.
Yes, because when you know a basic structure, you do not have to create every answer from zero.
One useful pattern is very simple. Give your answer, add a detail, and then give a reason.
For example, someone asks, "Do you like your hometown?"
You could say, "Yes, I do. It is a quiet place, and I like it because I grew up there."
That answer is not difficult, but it sounds complete and natural.
Another useful pattern is to answer with an example. Imagine someone asks, "What do you usually do in your free time?"
You could say, "I like watching movies." For example, "I usually watch a comedy movie with my friends on Friday evening."
The example makes your answer more interesting and gives the other person something to ask about.
They might ask, "What kind of movies do you like?"
Then you can continue with, "I really like comedies because they help me relax after a busy week."
Notice how one simple answer can naturally create another question.
This is how real conversations work. You do not need to prepare every sentence before speaking.
You answer the question in front of you and listen carefully to what the other person says next.
Another important skill is learning how to answer questions about the past.
Past questions can sometimes feel difficult because you need to think about what happened and choose the correct tense.
But again, you can keep it simple. Imagine someone asks, "What did you do last weekend?"
You can say, "I visited my cousin. We had lunch together and talked for a few hours."
That's enough. You do not need to tell the whole story.
If the person is interested, they may ask, "Where did you have lunch?"
Then you can answer that question. You are building the conversation one small answer at a time.
This is much easier than trying to prepare a long story in your head.
And if you forget a word, do not stop completely.
Try to explain the idea in another way.
For example, maybe you forget the word umbrella.
You can say, "The thing you use when it rains."
Exactly. The other person may understand you immediately.
This skill is called describing something when you don't know the exact word.
It is extremely useful for English learners because you will not always remember every word.
Even advanced speakers sometimes forget a word. It happens.
So instead of thinking, "I cannot speak because I forgot one word," think, "How can I explain this another way?"
That change can make you much more flexible in conversations.
Let's practice with another common question. "Mike, what did you do yesterday?"
Yesterday, I had a busy day. I went to work in the morning, came home in the evening, and cooked dinner.
Good. Now I will ask you another question. How was your day?
It was pretty good, but I was a little tired because I had a lot of work.
Very natural. You answered the question and explained why.
And I did not worry too much about grammar while speaking.
That's important. When you're speaking, you need to focus on communication first. You can improve your grammar later by reviewing your mistakes.
If you try to check every grammar rule while speaking, your answers may become slower.
You might think, should I use this tense or that tense? And suddenly you forget what you wanted to say.
So when you practice speaking, allow yourself to make small mistakes.
Then, after the conversation, you can think about what you want to improve. Another useful skill is answering questions about opinions.
These questions are common because people like to know what you think.
Someone might ask, do you think learning English is difficult?
You can say, I think it can be difficult at first, but it becomes easier with regular practice.
Then you can add an example. For me, listening was difficult in the beginning, but now I understand much more.
That is a strong answer because it includes your opinion and your personal experience.
You can use phrases like, I think, I believe, in my opinion, or for me.
These phrases give you a natural way to start your answer.
They also give your brain a little time to prepare the rest of the sentence.
For example, if someone asks, should people learn English every day?
You can begin with, in my opinion, practicing every day is helpful because...
Then you can finish the idea in your own simple words.
You do not need to have a perfect opinion. You just need to explain what you think.
And remember, two people can have completely different opinions and still have a good conversation.
Yes, someone may say, I love studying in the morning.
And another person may say, I prefer studying at night.
Neither answer is wrong. They are simply different personal choices.
This is why opinion questions can be great practice for English learners.
They encourage you to use phrases like I prefer, I enjoy, I don't really like, and I would rather.
You can practice these phrases with simple questions from your daily life.
For example, do you prefer tea or coffee?
I prefer tea because it helps me relax.
Do you prefer working alone or with other people?
I prefer working with other people because I enjoy sharing ideas.
Do you prefer living in a big city or a small town?
I prefer a small town because life feels quieter.
These answers are simple, but they help you become comfortable expressing yourself.
Another thing that can improve your confidence is practicing questions that you know you will hear often.
Think about your real life. What questions do people usually ask you?
Maybe they ask about your job, your family, your country, your hobbies, your studies, or your plans.
You can prepare a few natural answers for these topics.
Not answers that you memorize word for word, but ideas that you can talk about comfortably.
That difference is important. Memorizing every sentence can make you nervous if someone changes the question.
But if you know the main idea, you can change your answer naturally.
For example, instead of memorizing, I work in an office and I enjoy my job because my coworkers are friendly, remember the main ideas, your workplace, your job, and your coworkers.
Then if someone asks, where do you work? You can answer one way.
And if they ask, do you enjoy your work? You can answer another way.
This makes your English more flexible and helps you respond instead of simply repeating memorized sentences.
And when you become more flexible, you may start feeling less afraid when unexpected questions appear.
Because you know you do not need a perfect answer, you only need to understand the question and communicate your idea.
Now, let's talk about one of the biggest reasons people feel nervous when answering questions in English. Sometimes the problem is not the question. The problem is the pressure we put on ourselves.
Yes, we may think, I have to answer quickly. I need perfect grammar. I cannot make mistakes. When we think like that, even an easy question can feel difficult.
But confidence does not mean speaking perfectly. It means feeling comfortable enough to speak even when your English is not perfect.
If you wait until your English is perfect before speaking, you may wait for a very long time.
And while you are waiting, you miss many chances to practice.
So instead of asking, Was every sentence perfect? Ask yourself, did the other person understand my idea?
If the answer is yes, your communication was successful.
You can improve grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation as you continue practicing.
Another useful habit is to slow down when you feel nervous. You do not have to speak as quickly as possible.
Some learners think speaking fast means speaking fluently, but clear speaking is more important than fast speaking.
You can pause between ideas, breathe, and then continue.
For example, someone asks, "What are your plans for the future?"
You can say, that's a good question. I have a few plans. First, I want to improve my English, and then I would like to travel more.
That sounds calm and natural. You gave yourself time to think.
Another useful expression is, actually, I've never thought about that before.
Imagine someone asks, "If you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?"
You might say, actually, I've never thought about that before. Maybe I would choose a quiet city near the sea.
You do not need to know the answer immediately. You can create your answer while speaking.
That is what real conversations often look like.
Let's also talk about questions that begin with why.
A simple way to answer is to give your idea and explain the reason. For example, why are you learning English? You can say, I'm learning English because I want to communicate with more people and feel more confident when I travel.
Or you could say, I'm learning English because I need it for my job and I want to communicate better with my coworkers.
There is no single correct answer. Your answer should be connected to your real life.
Now think about how questions. Someone might ask, how do you learn English?
You could say, I listen to English podcasts every day. I also practice speaking when I have free time.
Then they might ask, how long have you been learning English?
You can answer, I've been learning English for 2 years, or I started learning English when I was at school.
Again, simple answers are completely fine.
Another common question is, what are you interested in?
You can say, I'm interested in languages, travel, and personal development. I especially enjoy learning about different cultures.
This gives the conversation somewhere to go. The other person may ask, which country would you like to visit?
And now you have another chance to speak. This is why you should not be afraid of follow-up questions.
Follow-up questions are simply questions that come after your answer.
They can actually be a good sign because they show that the person is interested in what you said.
If someone asks another question, do not panic. Listen, think, and answer one step at a time.
Now, what should you do when you make a mistake?
First, do not panic. Second, do not stop the whole conversation.
If the mistake is small and the meaning is clear, simply continue.
If you need to correct yourself, you can do it naturally.
For example, you might say, I go there last week. I went there last week.
That is completely normal. You corrected yourself and continued speaking.
Another useful exercise is recording yourself answering questions.
Choose 5 simple questions and answer each one for about 30 seconds.
You can practice questions like, where are you from? What do you do? And what do you like doing in your free time?
You can also practice, what did you do yesterday? And what are your plans for the future?
Record your answers and listen to them later.
You may notice that you repeat a word too often, speak too quickly, or pause too much.
That is useful because now you know what you can practice.
But do not judge yourself too harshly. The purpose is improvement, not perfection.
You can repeat the same questions a few days later and compare your answers.
You may be surprised by how much more comfortable you sound.
Another simple exercise is to answer one question every morning.
Ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? Or, how do I feel this morning?
Then answer out loud in English. 1 or 2 sentences are enough at first.
Later, make your answers longer by adding a reason or an example.
This small practice helps your brain become faster at creating English sentences.
And the more you practice answering questions, the less you may depend on translating every sentence in your head.
Before we finish, let's remember the most important ideas from today.
First, you do not need perfect English to answer questions confidently.
Second, it is okay to pause and think before speaking.
Third, use phrases like, "Let me think," "That's a good question," and "I'm not sure."
Fourth, try to give an answer and then add a small detail or reason.
Fifth, if you do not understand a question, ask the person to repeat it.
And finally, if you make a mistake, keep going.
Your mistake is not the end of the conversation. It is simply part of learning.
So today, choose 3 questions that people often ask you in English.
Practice your answers, but do not memorize every word. Remember the main ideas and speak naturally.
You may pause. You may forget a word. You may make a grammar mistake.
That is okay. Keep speaking.
And if you want to practice with us, answer this question in the comments. What is one thing you want to improve in your English?
You can write, "I want to improve my speaking because," and complete the sentence with your own idea.
Every answer is another chance to express yourself.
And one day, someone may ask you a question in English, and you may simply answer without overthinking.
That is the kind of confidence we want you to build.
Not perfect confidence, but real confidence.
Confidence that says, I may make a mistake, but I can still communicate.
So keep practicing, keep answering, and remember that every conversation is another chance to improve.
You do not need to speak perfectly today. Just take one small step and keep going.
And the next time someone asks you a question in English, take a breath, smile, and remember that you already know more English than you think.
See you in the next episode of Talk Sara English.